So yeah, what you're trying to do is take that young player now, but understand something. You have to earn your way into the unit. You have to be good enough to be great. You have to have like I tell guys, man, never settle for good when great's an option, and great is always an option. Okay, tough thing is greatness, right? Easily observed. We can all see when LeBron, he's a great player, right? Easily observed, incredibly hard to obtain, and it requires sacrifice. Because there's so many guys that get to this level at the good, and they didn't necessarily have to work really hard to get there, but to take that last big leap and be great, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up? How hard are you willing to work to make that step? And that's where things change. And you go back and you listen to Kobe Bryant and how he practiced. You listen to how Steph practices. You listen to how Tiger Woods prepares to play golf, or Rory. The good to great. If they don't take that next step in how they prepare, they never become that. Doesn't mean they wouldn't be a good golfer, but would they be great? Would they win 14 majors? Probably not. So yeah, just trying to get guys to understand that never good enough never is. Okay, and that's just a saying somebody said to me a long time ago, and it just kind of breaks it down pretty quickly. But just trying to help those guys understand that and just come out and develop, like you said. If I'm developing mindset, like I'll tell guys, I've talked to the older guys here, I said, look, here's how you use special teams throughout your deal. As a freshman and early in your career, oftentimes it's your first opportunity to get on the field. Okay? So you're a freshman, and now I get a chance to work, and you're playing 18 plays, 20 snaps, okay? And I'll use another guy. Mike Wilson starts at wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinal. Mike is a freshman, 212 special team snaps for me. Okay? But so when it comes to the next year and it's time for him to play, he's been under the lights. He's prepared for a game. He understands the physical preparation and the ramp up. He understands the mental preparation and how it goes through the week. He understands that when the lights come on, man, it's still just 11 on 11. And we're just playing on a grass field, and the game isn't really any bigger than it was when I was 10 or when I was 15. Okay? Now, as Mike becomes a player, right? Now he's playing, next year he's got a bigger role in the offense, and the next year he's a starter. So he might go from 4-team starter to like a 2, maybe 3-team starter, depending on his role, to now, hey, you're a 1-team starter. Now you might back up on a team, but you're only going to start on one. So you're going to play 4 plays. You've gone from playing 20 plays a game almost for me to playing 3 or 4 snaps, or 5 snaps. But so that's the role. Young, I'm your best friend because you want to get on the field. I'm your best friend because you want to get on the plane. You want to travel. Everybody becomes my best friend on a football team at about week 2 of preseason, of fall camp, right? They'll all be in the meetings and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're starting to realize that maybe they're a little bit further down the depth chart and they might not travel. They might not, they want to get on the bus. And so people go, hey, well, if you get on special teams, that's going to get you on the bus. Well, you got to be good enough still, right? So you better be working. Now, for the older guy, he's been the dude that's been that guy, and now his reps have gone down to here. But every spring ball, every fall camp, we're gonna emphasize fundamentals, right? So he can do it one of 2 ways. He can sit there and go, hey, I don't play. I don't do that shit. And he doesn't work hard at it. Or he can say, you know what? I want to play in the league, and this is my selling point to the older player. You have to understand, unless you're a quarterback or a freaking top 10, top 15 pick, guess what? You're going to play on special teams, just if nothing else for the sheer economics of it.
Yeah.
You could be a first-round pick at corner. They're still going to run you down as a gunner on punt versus the 8-year wide receiver because you're still on a rookie contract. One, you got 22-year-old legs. This guy's got 29-year-old legs, and I got to play 18 weeks. The other thing is his legs cost me $12 million. You're costing me $875 a season right now, bud. So what do I do for those guys? I help those guys sharpen their tools so that when there's a meeting in training camp and you're going to be the 5th linebacker or the 5th receiver, that the special teams coach is going to have the break. He's going to have the tie vote. And he's going to go, you know what? I want the dude from UCF because that guy knows his shit. He's fundamentally sound. He plays the game hard. He understands the importance of special teams. Now, you might not have played 10 plays the year before on special teams during the season because of what your role is on offense or defense. But if you'll work hard for me in the spring and fall camp and keep your tools sharp, you're going to go take those tools and apply it to where you really got a chance now to make a living. So that's my role with the older player, and that's how he needs to see. Even the established star needs to be able to look up and go, you know what, next year I'm going to be covering kicks and stuff like that. Hey, you know what, this drill, I'm going to do 2 reps now, 2 reps here, and 4 reps in fall camp. But you know what, it's just going to help remind me, hit my brain on how I want to do that, what that technique's like, so that when that coach talks it, I'm ahead of all these other guys that maybe didn't take it seriously or didn't know the technique. Now I get to be the guy, man. You got this guy and this guy. Well, this guy's going to help us more in special teams. Okay, you're in.
I hesitate to even break your cadence here because you are cooking, Coach. But you mentioned having mentality. I think there's another kind of mantra, if you will. No block, no rock. And I've heard this from Gabe Davis, who at one point played for Coach Frost here.
Yeah.
Is that element something you saw in Coach Frost? I know you hadn't met him yet and all of this leading into it, and you mentioned taking stuff in from other coaches that you've worked with.
Sure.
Do these elements tie in, and what is something that you see from Coach Frost?
Yeah, I think it ties in because Coach Frost now, he wants to play. He's a mash the gas kind of dude now.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to sit in first gear and roll down the road at it's like, okay, I go to Daytona, right? And they give me a car, and that car can go 150 miles an hour. Are you going to be the guy that goes 150, or are you going to be a guy that goes 60 miles an hour along the bottom and just kind of cruises? Okay? In our world, man, you want to be the guy that's going to mash the gas. You want to be the guy that's going to go one. If you're going to do it, man, enjoy it. Let's maximize everything we got, and let's do that. And I think one of the things, just in talking with him about how he wants to play the game, and there's time and play. And the other thing is knowing when to go 150 miles an hour, and when not to. Right? That's still part of the game, but to have the mentality that, hey, look, when we can get it, we're going to take it. We're going to go, and that's all about. We're back in. Listen, if I'm going to acquire real estate, why not take the whole fairway and the green instead of just the tee box, right? So I want to take the whole hole if I can, and I think that's one of the things that philosophically we align, in that. But he takes special teams seriously. He understands the role and how important it is. And when we talked, and that comes across in his conversation when he talks about special teams and how important it is, and then dedicating the meeting time and the practice time to allow yourself to put these players in a position to be successful and to maximize their ability and maximize their performance. So that's where, that's always important when you're a special teams coordinator is, what's the philosophy of the head football coach, and I think this football team understands and will continue to understand and grow just learn more about Coach Frost and who he is. And that's what some of this early time's all about, right? Just us learning about the players learning about what's important, and what are the things, what are the foundations. Like I told you, we got 5 words that weave the fabric of special teams for us. And then we've got 6 characteristics that those guys, when they look at those 6 characteristics, you check the boxes. If you want to know why you're not playing, the first thing I want you to do before you come see me is look at those 6 characteristics, man. Are you checking those boxes? If you think you are, or even if you're not, but you want to know how, hey, come see me. Let's come up with a plan. Let's give you an opportunity to try to do that and try to check the boxes.
Welcome to Orlando for starters, and then I guess I want to start with when you first got the call that Scott Frost was coming back to UCF and he wanted you a part of his staff. What was your reaction?
Well, first of all, you fired up, knowing enough about this place and a lot about Coach Frost. One, really first thing is awesome to work with him again. Someone asked a question earlier, and Coach Frost and I obviously stayed in touch over the last few years, and we talk football all the time. So getting an opportunity to work with him in a football space in a cool place like UCF, it fires you up.
I'm sure you talked about this earlier, but you are coming back from Boise, and you're coming off of appearance in the college football playoff. What did you learn from being a part of that team and coaching a Heisman candidate in Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah, so I'll just start with the obvious. Like, getting to know Ashton Jeanty as a football player is one thing, and it's special. Getting to know Ashton Jeanty as a human being is equally as special. Like, there's not many people in this profession that work as hard as him and are as good of a person, and it's pretty magical and special when that type of person is also a really good football player.
And another interesting one, you got to work alongside Dirk Cotter, who was the play caller for that Boise State team. What did you learn from an offensive-minded coach like him, who's revered in the football universe as a highly intelligent offensive coach and has done this at the pro and collegiate level?
Yeah, Coach Cutter has obviously done it for a long time and has acquired a ton of wisdom through all of the different stops that he's been on. But the one thing about Coach Cutter is he's really sharp. He's a sharp dude, and one of the smartest things he does is he doesn't overcomplicate it and definitely pick up things. As an offensive mind and as an offensive coach, there's all sorts of cool ideas out there, and you certainly want to lean into some of those ideas. But also you learn that sometimes simple's better, and it's both ends of the spectrum. But Coach Cutter is as good as it gets in regards to calling plays and designing offense, but he's also a really good person that knows that let's put it this way, if you can simplify it to where the guys can understand it, they're going to be able to execute it.
And you're here at UCF, you're now the OC here at a Power 4 school. What are your goals, and how do you hope to inspire players on your team?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I think first and foremost, we're here as coaches to develop these young people, right? Try to make them the best version of themselves. And I mentioned this earlier to somebody else. To be able to do that, you have to meet a player where he's at. So certain guys are coming in as 17-year-old freshmen, and they're mid-year, and they're here for the first time, and it's first time away from home, first time away from mom and dad, just trying to figure out how to be, an adult. And so we got to meet those guys where they're at. And then you also have on the other side of the spectrum, you got guys that are sometimes 24 years old that are adults. And we want to treat all these guys, fairly, and we want to put them in positions to learn and maybe make some mistakes, but at the same time, it's our jobs as coaches is to love these guys up and help them become the best version of themselves. So inspiring these guys by being the best version of myself every day. And that's generally going to mean come in to work with some energy and really try to help these guys and give them all the coaching points and all the knowledge that I've acquired over a career of coaching.
Sounds good. Best of luck to you, Coach. Thanks so much for this.
Thank
you. Just getting into it, talk about the process of coming here to UCF Orlando. What were the conversations had? When did you know UCF was the job?
Yeah, I just think, talking to Coach Frost and having a real respect for his career, having competed against him a number of times over the course of both of ours, and recognizing too in the changing landscape of college football, this is one of those schools that understands change, and that's very, very rare. And I'll say, there's a lot of schools out there that it's try to do it like we did 20 years ago, or holding on to the past. This place has never had that available to them because the past either was a different conference or a completely different level of football, and so change is inevitable, and change has been something that there probably isn't a school that you could circle or point to at even the same stratosphere in terms of the ability to make those changes and the necessary ones to compete at the level. And so they're just extremely excited by that, being in the state of Florida and understanding the speed that we can recruit and the guys that we can develop. And so just made a lot of sense. So excited that Coach Frost gave me the opportunity.
And when you saw the positions open up, did you look at UCF as an immediate possibility?
It's funny how the process works, and so often it's I was very happy at my previous stop, and so you're not really looking, and things have a way of kind of working out. And when Coach Frost called, it was definitely a call I was willing and excited to take, and then it kind of proceeded from there.
Obviously, you talked about Scott calling you. What was your relationship with him before, and then going up against him? What were those memories like playing against a Scott Frost offense?
Yeah, very much just I guess a mutual respect from a working standpoint would be the relationship that we had previous to. I mean, known each other for a long time, but in that vein is competing against each other, going back several years, and then most specifically, I was at Washington State. I think his last year at Oregon, and then competing in those things, and then a couple other stops along the way. So. No, you understand, what will be done, the way it'll be done on the other side of the ball, which is a defensive coordinator excites you because you know the pain that he's going to put opponents in, and so that's important. I think the other thing that's important is that's who you get a chance to go against for 8 months of the year, and I think that's something that maybe isn't talked about enough. That you get a chance to, if use just big picture multiplicity for an example, or tempo as an example. Knowing that that's how you get to train your guys is exciting on our side of the ball because we'll be better for it. And so that's a real piece to this thing as well, is understanding there's a common approach and some real exciting preparation things that allows us to do defensively, going against coach.
Coach, you mentioned having previous communication with Coach Frost and having a mutual respect for him. In a recent presser with Mark Daniels, Coach Frost said he doesn't hire friends or do relationship hires. He wants to hire the best guy available for the job. What pride do you take in knowing that you were the best guy available and that Coach Frost wanted you to come coach this UCF defense?
I don't see it or read it, so I'm not privy to. I didn't hear that, so it's the first time hearing it. But I think that as a coach, I mean, ultimately all you're trying to do is get guys to play above their ability level, and in situations that as you're competing against other coaches, there's a reality to the inner workings of the profession and what people see on TV, and ultimately as a guy's preparing for you, they see the ins and outs, and so if there's a tell, they know it. If using defense to offense is, I know what a week of preparation is like going against Coach Frost, and it's not just the Saturday game day when you're competing against each other. It's all the video that you watch and the painstaking approach that you do from a preparation standpoint. And so, again, I'd like to think it's on both sides of it, and is saying that as he's preparing for some of the teams that we had previously, that there's a respect, that there's a soundness to it, there's a process to it that an offensive coach can see, and one that he wanted to include in his program. So, no, without question, you feel good about that and take stock in it.
Obviously, the only position coach that was retained was Kenny Martin. Has he kind of been a soundboard for you, for the vibes of UCF, the players?
Yeah, no, he has, and I'm most importantly just impressed with him as a coach and a guy to have in the room, and not someone that I previously have known, which that's also the kind of the fun part too, and coaching changes and some of those things is you get a chance to be around new blood and new conversations, and so extremely excited to have a chance to work with him. And yes, there is some conversations about the guys, because he has a history with them, and some of that. But there's also that element of not putting him too much on the spot, and that we want it to be a clean slate for the guys and everything else. And just because, again, just like we would like a clean slate from a coaching standpoint, we want it it's appropriate for us, mature of us, to do the same respect on that side thing. Just because that's what maybe they weren't previously doesn't mean that's what they'll be for us. And so, no, it is nice to have some a little bit of history in terms of what's been done in the past. But most importantly, just excited to have him on our staff and the guy that's coaching for us.
How do you feel your defensive philosophy has changed since being at USC and even Oklahoma over these last couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's ever evolving based on what is done in football. I mean, formationally, as much as anything over the course of time, the multiplicity of offenses. It's hard now to watch too much football without seeing someone go in motion. Maybe 10 years ago, something like that, where that was kind of the exception. It's now. Again, something that's almost expected, and if they don't move, then you're kind of, I don't want to say lucky, but It's not normal. It's the same thing. I think there's a little bit of maybe the spread / tempo that went up maybe to the NFL. The thing that's maybe coming back, again, everybody kind of mimics each other, but the one thing that's coming into the college ranks is just the formations, the use of tight ends, the shifting, the motioning, which is, can put you in a real bind defensively. And so I think probably as much as anything, and then included in that the previous, like I mentioned in college football, with the tempo piece. And so now you got a kind of a really a merging of that, which is painstaking defensively. That you spend so much time just getting lined up. But philosophically, it's always been about playing downhill football. It's always been about, I think we've averaged 33 sacks a year, 90 TFLs, 21 takeaways a year. That never goes away. Being disruptive and getting, offenses behind the chains, and like I said, probably as much as anything, just making sure that you can structure yourself so that before the ball is snapped, you can, get your feet in your cleats in the grass and get lined up and allow the guys to go play downhill.
Coach, your resume, along with showing a history of being a defensive coordinator, shows you working a lot with safeties and DBs and that part of the defense. I mean, what pride do you take in knowing that you lead those guys consistently to top ranks in the country? And what is the love for coaching that group of?
Well, I'm very passionate about being a defensive back coach. This has been my 23rd year in college football, and all of which had been on the back end. I've said this before is, they don't run you over if they can run by you. And so having that group, structured, discipline, and understanding where they need to be in those things can really lead to both on the positive side of things and on the negative side of things if that group's not sound and where they need to be in those things. But no, passionate about the position and the type of athlete that you get a chance to coach. I'm excited about the group that we have here. A few guys with some experience, but quite frankly, a lot of guys that haven't. So you get a chance to have an impact on those guys. But no, it's there's a lot of positions in football, and yes, I like calling defense, but very, very passionate about the secondary play.
Kind of speaking about one of those guys that has experience, Chasen Johnson, obviously entered the transfer portal, came back after you were here. What's it like to have him back in the fold, and also what's he been like since you've been here?
It's extremely exciting. I mean, both as I'll start with just a good dude, a guy that you like being around, a guy that has the right type of intensity when he shows up to the building, has the right type of work ethic, kind of got the head bob in the meeting, like he's into it, and then has the athleticism and I think the want to, and I think he can be a high-end guy for us. So no, a good guy to be around, good guy to have in the room, and the guy we're excited to coach.
Common thing about Coach Frost recruiting, especially as he mentioned in his introductory press, is that he wants to grab young guys and develop them and make them grow in the program. I mean, you're going to have a young defense out there. What are things you're going to learn and things that you're going to have to work out during that process? Yeah,
I think just putting the guys in the best position to use their athleticism. As you talk through development, you'll never compromise speed as you go through the process, and so making sure that the product on the field suggests that we can be one of the fastest defenses in the country, and so looking to find those guys, and part of that is the understanding of where you need to be, and so that's going to be a big thing over the course. You can't play fast if you're thinking. Or certainly you can't play as fast as you otherwise can. And so, developing those guys and allowing those guys to play fast is a critical element as we take over here.
Everybody likes to talk about recruiting in the state of Florida. How comfortable and how many times have you kind of dipped into Florida over the years to look at prospects, and how excited are you to take that on now? Yeah,
no, it's from a respect standpoint, one of the states that would be at or near the top from a football standpoint, athletic standpoint, coaching standpoint, which all is critical to the overall development of guys. And been several stops along the way coaching the SEC, and had several guys from Florida and national recruiting at several stops. So, no, very familiar with the level of talent, and also have an understanding there's a lot of guys that have previously, maybe had to go other places to find Power 4 opportunities that, now being at a place like a UCF that say, well, I don't have to leave the state to pursue my goals, and I can share those Saturday game days with my family is exciting to be a part of and present to guys. And so I think there's a mutual respect there as well, both the high school coaches and high school players in the state to UCF, and then again understand what type of guys we're recruiting. Football's important here, which is fun to be around.
Being a part of the entire defense, you've probably spoken with Coach Kenny Martin about young D tackle John Walker. I mean, what's that process been like talking with him? He was supposed to have a big leap year last season, but got injured. What are some things that you have in plan for John Walker?
Yeah, just one of the guys that's in the fold, a guy that you see with a big athlete, which is you can't have enough of those type of guys. But I've seen his work ethic, which has been real quality. Obviously coming off an injury and those things, but no, I'm excited to get him in the fold once fully cleared and all those things. And I just think. You talk about Kmart has some history with him, which is critical. And so, no, it would be exciting to coach him, and that hopefully there's the profile moving forward. Big athletes, and certainly excited for him to be with us.
And then to start wrapping it up, what are your thoughts on the culture of the team? What has Coach Frost implemented? What have you seen? How is the whole room looking right now?
Yeah, I think in this day and age with new faces, obviously most specifically as a coaching staff, and then new players coming in and guys with different backgrounds and everything else, the common language we speak is football, and so that's a good starting point for all things. And that's something that's, ultimately when we talk about culture, that's something that you can't microwave. You can't do it in one team meeting. You can't do it in one talk. You can't do it in one practice or one weight workout. It's something that's evolving over time. And one of the things that is probably the chief creator for that is shared experiences. The more time, whether we're in the weight room together, in a meeting room together, and a walkthrough together, then spring ball together, and then ultimately Friday night before a game, and so that's something that is always a moving target, and something that we continue to work on over the course of time. But been very pleased with the guys' work ethic, been very pleased with the guys' want to, and so certainly excited moving forward as we transition this spring here in the next couple weeks.
To ask you one last fun question. I know you've been only a short period here in Orlando, but what's been your favorite part about being in the UCF community and the local Orlando area?
Yeah, I think I mentioned the respect standpoint that people in the area have for the program, the school. I think people, if you come from the north, then people are going to obviously highlight the weather, especially in January and February. But I think too, just the excitement level around the program. I had a chance to be in an event last week with people in and around the program, and you can just feel that there's an excitement, and there's a reality to the change in moving to the Big 12, which is fun to be part of as the couple years into this deal. And so no, it is one of those unique places that knows change. I can't emphasize that enough, and so ready for this next one.